Hello. Good evening. How we doing tonight? So a couple housekeeping items before we jump in. I am already getting calls, so I got to put this on Do Not Disturb. Yeah. So just a couple things I want to say before we dive in tonight. Last night was awesome. Had a lot of great callers call in and just be really candid. It was amazing. I actually cried last night after that a little bit. It was intense. And I love that we're getting calls like this because it means people need to talk. So I'm so glad we're doing this, and I'm so glad you guys are vibing with it. And there were some comments about the echo on the callers last night. So before we dive in, I just want to check in with you guys and see how that was to listen to, because that effect is obscuring the callers' names or the callers' voices. And so I'd rather not take that off, that effect. But if it was hard to listen to, I will. So I'm going to hold here for a second and see what you guys say about that. Do we kill the effect to make it more listenable, or can you deal with it? Is it listenable as is? Because I don't want to change the pitch of the person's voice. That'll just change everything. Okay, some people saying it's doable, didn't really affect it, keep it. Okay, great. So I'm going to leave that on, and if people mention it, now you guys know. That's obscuring the caller's voice. And then, secondly, I want to say to the callers from the first night we did this, there were a few callers that got hung up on, or who I was just really short with for the sake of time and trying to find the right kind of call that we're looking for. And if you called that first night and you feel like you didn't get to say what you needed to say, I want to encourage you to keep trying to call back, because in particular, there was a woman who had a story about being divorced and her husband left her and her 1-year-old baby. I feel like maybe there was some things there we didn't get to talk about. So if you are listening and you would like to call back, please try. And there was another person who called in talking about an Oedipus complex, and I hung up on that person about a minute and a half into the call because it started feeling like a troll. And I've been thinking about that person for a couple days now and wondering if that was a troll or not. If it wasn't a troll, I want you to try to call back in, but it just sounded to me like a minute and a half into the call that they were, like the way they were talking about what they were going through, it just seemed like a troll, because they were saying that they're not attracted to their mom anymore because she's gained weight. And I was like, this guy's, what is he talking about? So I apologize if I'm hanging up on the wrong people. I'm undoubtedly going to do that. It's part of what's dangerous about this. But I ask for just some patience. And if you get hung up on, please just call back and just say, hey, I called before, you hung up on me. I want another chance to tell you what I'm going through. And I will listen. I'm not trying to be a jackass. Just trying to, get to the callers who really need to talk. So. And then lastly, I am going to promote this one tonight because you guys know how bad I am at social media, but I feel like I gotta let people know we're doing this on my Twitter and stuff. I'll probably just tweet it tonight. Probably won't get crazy on posting it everywhere. Twitter is pretty much the only one I do use, and I use it very, very little. I don't even know the last time I posted. It's probably been a year, so this one should be noteworthy. And I ask you guys too, please help me spread the word about what we're doing here so that more people can get in to call, because we need to I want to reach people from not just the States and not just Canada, but I'd love it if, I pretty much only speak English, so I'm pretty much worthless, but we've got this toll-free number that can take calls internationally toll-free to over 100 countries. And part of the goal is to reach people anywhere, going through anything. So please help me. If you have been enjoying these, please take a second before we jump in here. And I'm going to tweet this out. And if you feel so inclined, do that with me so we can spread the word a little bit. And I know that you guys might feel conflicted about that because so many of you have been trying to call in and haven't been getting in, and you don't want to make it more difficult. But the reality is, the best thing for you to get into a call is to help us keep this thing going, which means help us spread awareness of it. And I apologize. It might take me a second to get into my Twitter because I'm that bad at social media. That wasn't too bad. I'm in. Okay. Probably T-minus 20 seconds here. And the phone lines will be open. And to people asking what kind of topics we're looking for, we're just looking for people who need to get something off their chest or to talk about something they're going through or not sure how to deal with. And for this to be a place where we all can support each other and talk about things we're going through. And I'm going to get better at referring to the chat in the middle of conversations. I'm still kind of getting used to this. I'm still learning how to do all this at once, but yeah, the goal is to get people in here talking about really hard stuff, you know. Basically, the general philosophy is if you're not depressed or suicidal or something really, not going through something really hard, you're toast. It's basically what we're doing. I'm going to hang up on a lot of people, and I'm probably going to hang up on the wrong people sometimes, but that's part of what we're doing. Not trying to be mean, not trying to hang up on people. All up for ideas, too, if you got better ideas. I don't want to screen callers, because I kind of like the chaos of what this is. I kind of like that it's so open that, you know, people can feel like they'll have a chance to get in. And you guys are going to laugh at me. I'm still looking for how to find the link to this stream, because I'm that much of an ignoramus. I'm trying to find the link to my own stream. That is what's happening right now. I'm close. Here we go. Here's my stream. Whoops. Commercial. Okay. Guys, this is my first tweet in a very long time. This is kind of crazy for me. Done. I have tweeted. It has been... When was the last one? Let's take another second and see how long it's been since I've tweeted. I'm just curious. Let's see. My last tweet was... Oh, I had a retweet on June 7th, 2020. Wasn't even an actual tweet. My last tweet was June 2nd, 2020. Wow. I was tweeting about COVID stuff. Crazy. All right. So, with that, we are going to open up these phone lines. Here we go. Stand by. All right, first caller. Here we go. Hi there. Thanks for calling.
Hi.
Can you turn your speakers down, please? Or wear some headphones.
Oh, shoot.
Toast. Next caller. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Yo, Julian, what's up?
How you doing tonight? What do you want to talk about?
Good. I want to talk about my really cousin Jake Lee.
Nope. No names. Toast. No names, please. This is anonymous. And I had just turned off Do Not Disturb, so now I got to open up the lines again. Please, if you're calling, no names, no personally identifying information. turn your speakers down so that there's no feedback. If there's any of these issues are present, I will hang up just for the sake of time. Hello, thanks for calling. Hello? Toast. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Can you turn your speakers down?
Yeah, does that sound okay?
That's great. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Okay, so I don't know if this has been brought up on the live stream yet, but I am trying to quit porn. It really sucks.
Trying to quit porn. You're looking at too much porn, to be specific?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that I'm like looking at an excessive amount, but it's enough to where like I feel it weighing on me, and I just don't feel like it's good for my mental health. Obviously I feel like I'm contributing to, by watching it, an industry that just objectifies people, and I mean, obviously then there's the very dark side of sex trafficking and everything that entails, and it's just really, it sucks.
Right. So, is this an addiction problem? You got an addiction that you're trying to overcome, or is this just like, what is it about? Are you lonely? What's the underlying issue?
I mean, I think it's like, because I can go months at a time without watching it. But then there are some periods where like it is more regular, maybe like once a week, or once every few days. So I mean, it kind of varies. But right now, at least in my life, I feel like I'm in a period where it's like somewhat more regular, and so it's kind of like just a bad habit. Yeah, maybe it's part of it's loneliness. I probably need to, just fill my time with better things. I'm not sure.
Do you have somebody that you've opened up to about this? Maybe a counselor or a friend?
I used to be in therapy. I'm not currently, and then I haven't really opened up to any friends too much about it.
Right.
And my parents are like kind of aware that they like know that I was like somewhat regularly watching it at one point, but they don't really know like what my current situation is regarding it.
How do your parents feel about porn?
I mean, they're definitely like not like supporters of it. Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
it keep
they
you from
definitely
talking to them?
think that,
Sorry, I interrupted you.
yeah, I mean, I think that we have like pretty similar opinions about it. Like, I don't think it's good for my mental or like sexual health to watch it. It's just like a bad habit, and something that I probably use as like a coping mechanism, I think.
Yeah, it's so tough. There's so many things out there like porn, social media for one.
Yeah.
So these things are designed to keep us sucked in and coming back, and it can be hard to break habits with things like porn and Amazon shopping.
Yeah, that's true.
Not to diminish what you're going through, of course, but
No, you're right.
I'm wondering if when this began for you. I'm wondering if this is something that how long has this been going
on? I was first exposed to porn probably when I was like 11 or 12. These like very like mild stuff, Wikipedia stuff you find on Wikipedia, nothing like major. But
porn on Wikipedia?
I think I started like watching videos when I was mid-teens, and then I went like a number of years without watching at all. And then since pursuing some different educational pursuits, just and like moving away from home, some of those shifts in, maybe more stress or workloads, the pandemic, struggling with like dating, a lot of that kind of probably contributed to like a mild decline in just like mental health, being like more isolated,
Right.
and so it like made it easy to go back to, I guess.
How much of your time is this taking out? How much time out of your day?
Like as of late, maybe like 15, like 20 minutes
Okay.
every day or every other day.
Okay, so it's not like it's so bad that it's keeping you from working or something like that. This sounds like something that's just kind of, again, not to diminish your problem, but it sounds like this is just something that's weighing on you, and you'd feel better if you could just not do it daily. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that's correct.
Have you tried replacing, I've read so many books on habits and forming new ones. They say it takes 2 weeks to form a habit and 3 weeks to break one. And to break one, you got to be really intentional about replacing the thing that you're used to doing with something new, like a new habit, and you got to do it for like 3 weeks. You think, have you tried that? Have you tried replacing it with something else and taking it one day at a time?
Not as intentionally as I should. I know that, like, it's really easy to say to yourself, oh, like I should really go, to the gym today, and then just not do it, So I went on like a run this week, which was great, but like in regards to consistency with change, it's something that I, this year and, the past probably 6 to 8 months haven't probably been putting in the work in regards to being intentional about trying to change. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would say, I think you've got, I don't want to be insensitive, but I think you've got a very common problem. It doesn't make it not a problem, but I think that there's a lot of people who are struggling with something like this right now, especially porn. It's everywhere now. Porn is everywhere, and
Right.
it's a real problem. It's not just a problem because people are getting addicted to it. It's got so many problems, not least of which, some people think that this is actually how sex is supposed to be, and it's what sex is, and it's some people are learning what sex is through porn, which is really terrifying. But I just want to encourage you that you're not alone. I know there's a bunch of communities. NoFap community is one. I'm not sure if you're aware of that one. It's such a funny name. But there's a bunch of people, there's a bunch of communities out there that you could get plugged into, it's kind of like a digital accountability partner. It's real people, not just computers or something like that. But I would encourage you to maybe get plugged into a group like that, and then maybe try to replace it with something easy once a day. And just keep that thing in the back. Try to think of something that you want to do instead of that with that time, and try to just take it one day at a time. Maybe don't go, if you're struggling. I know sometimes when I'm trying to break a habit, I will, it helps me to go slow and take small steps and not just think like, I'm not, like the whole NoFap thing. I think they have they'll go after entire months or something like that. They'll go after these huge time periods where they're going to not look at porn. And sometimes that's too much for me. I don't know about you, but sometimes I find it easier if I'm just like, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to do X, and instead I'm going to do Y, and then I'll just see how long I can take it. And I think you're gonna figure this out. I wish you the best. I'm going to take the next caller, but thanks for calling in, and call us back if this continues to be a problem.
Listening.
Thanks so much. Take care. All right. Turn the calls back on. Coming right back. Oh. Nope, here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
Oh my holy Julian. What's up, bro?
What would you like to talk about tonight?
Okay. I'm thinking aliens. What do you think about aliens?
Toast. Hello, thanks for calling.
Oh, Hey, Julian.
Hi there. What would you like to talk about?
Hey, so my problem is I'm allergic to horse cum.
Toast. Turning the callers back on. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Oh, wow. Hi. I don't think I'm going to be here very long. But I feel like I have an issue finding therapy. In the last 2 years, I have been through I want to say 12 therapists. And I suffer crippling anxiety and depression, depending on the stage of life that I'm in. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the pandemic has made it really. I don't know. I feel like therapy is so weird because it's all virtual now. And so I don't know.
So you can't find a therapist, or you can't, meaning you can't afford one, or meaning you can't find one that you jive with?
No, I can't find one that I jive with.
That's
I'll
hard.
go to a therapist and I'll be with them for I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, and most of the time they just kind of boil it down to here's some breathing exercises, or damn, that's really hard, and yeah, I don't know. It I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at, and so
I'm sorry to
yeah.
hear that. What makes you anxious?
Really anything. I feel like I just live my day-to-day life with constant anxiety. It's been like that ever since I was a kid. Even in elementary school, I haven't been able to talk to people, or really doing things like going to the grocery store are insurmountable tasks for me, I feel like. And so yeah, and I've tried different medications, and none of them seem to really do anything other than make me just incredibly dull. And so I just have to decide which is worse, being dull and feeling no emotion throughout the day, or feeling incredibly anxious throughout the day,
Right. Are you able to get out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, I can get out of bed, especially if I'm like I said earlier, I go through I feel like everybody goes through episodes of depression, and so in times when I'm not going through those times, yeah, I can get out of bed and I can be I can go to work. But there have been jobs that I've had to quit because it's too difficult for me to work up the courage to drive to those jobs, and so yeah.
What kinds of things help? You sounds like you've been dealing with this for a long time. So have you discovered any things that help you?
Not really. Doing things I brought up the example of going to a grocery store.
Right.
And so when I go to the grocery store, I'll put in noise canceling headphones and I'll listen to a podcast, or I'll have a video playing in the background. It's funny, your videos when I was a kid were one of those videos that I would put on just to kind of forget about the world for a second. And so I think things like that really help. And also of course doing things like playing video games is a really great way for me to just relax at the end of the day,
You're not trying to.
Yeah.
Does it feel like you're trying to escape the anxiety, or it sounds like that's what I'm hearing. It could be a misunderstanding, but if you're trying to escape it, that could.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. probably, to be honest with you, is that that's part of what I do is I just try to not think about whatever's making me anxious in that moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, like, of course, sometimes it's a fruitless attempt. Like I've been to the hospital a couple of times for like different anxiety attacks, and I haven't had one in a while, but that was tough. And it was like kind of embarrassing, and like I feel like I have like some it's dramatic, but for lack of a better term, I feel like I have some form of like PTSD thinking about the times that I've been to the hospital over.
We got to find a therapist.
That's dramatic.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just sitting here thinking you got to find a therapist. You got to find a counselor, someone that can take this walk with you. I think it's awesome that you would call in and share in this way with all of us. And I think there's probably plenty of people in the chat who are resonating with what you're saying. And I hope this is helpful for other people to hear. But I really do think, you've got to put some energy into finding professional help. And I'm sure that it sounds like that's probably really hard for you with the type of anxiety you deal with. And I would almost imagine that it seems like you would have a really hard time finding a therapist that you do jive with because, is that right?
Yeah, and like that's the difficult thing is that I like desperately want to have a therapist that
can you afford a good one?
I feel comfortable talking to. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Can you afford a good one?
I mean, I can afford what my insurance will cover.
I see.
Or at least like give me a small co-payment for like the most I can afford is like $20-$30 a week, depending on where I'm at.
Right. I feel for you. I have dealt with some anxiety in my life, but I have friends who have dealt with it much more seriously, and I will. I feel like the only thing I can tell you is that you've got to find some counseling, some professional help with somebody who specializes in this. I know that can be really hard when you're dealing with insurance, but if you can afford to pay someone out of pocket and pay them like $60 to $100 an hour, I know that's a lot of money, but if you can do that for at least a month or two, I feel like that's going to just help so much. I didn't get to finish what I was going to say. I was going to say, I think it's great that you're calling in and sharing in this way, but ultimately, like, it sounds like you're on a really long journey. It sounds like you're going to have to take some time to be really intentional about figuring out what the source of this anxiety is and facing it and not trying to escape it. I picture you walking through a grocery store without noise canceling headphones and without distracting videos and just going in there on a mission. And I feel like you sound like a guy that's got a lot of energy. And I would love to hear from you soon again, in a note or something, just saying that you've worked on this and have discovered what the anxiety is coming from. It's got to be coming from something specific. I'm not qualified to determine what that is, much less on an hour-long call or something. We're going to talk here for about 10 minutes. So, I think I want to thank you for calling in and sharing. I have seen so many people lighting up in the chat during your call here, talking about anxiety, and I think this is great for people to hear. Is there anything else that you want to talk about tonight or get off your chest?
No, that was really about it. Is airing that out was really great. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course. Thanks for calling. Call again anytime. Take care of yourself.
All right.
All right, next caller. Got to turn them back on. Okay, calls are back on. Next caller. Here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi, hello. Hello, Julian. I guess my thing I would like to talk to you about is I am kind of going through the mourning of like what I would call the death of my childhood, if you will.
Okay.
And I'm kind of just dealing with how do I process going from, young adulthood, 18, 17, 18 into 19 now and 20 this year. And just how does that look now that you got to kind of cast aside your youth and start facing adulthood? What does that look like, and balancing that and trying to balance your dreams and responsibilities and what's expected of you? I don't know. I think that's just tough.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. You got to take ownership of your life. You gotta.
Yeah.
Is your life a mess, or is it just this
No,
fear of the
I
unknown?
think it's all right. I think it's pretty good. I think I think I'm able to manage it. Like, I'm able to manage life pretty well overall, I think. But the thing is it's just like you think over time you would start to learn how to handle it better, I would think. But it just seems to be more insurmountable. Like, how is this even possible? It's not even that I'm scared to like not have my parents, or it's nothing like that. It's just like, how am I going to be able to actually build myself a life? I just feel like constant pressure that everything's exploding around me, and I can't. There's nothing I can do to help stop that.
What's exploding around you?
I just feel like it's dead ends. It's constantly dead ends. I get a job somewhere, and then that job is either a dead end job, and it's like, well, how am I going to work at some stinking restaurant for I can't work here for 20 years and expect anything to happen of that, or I can't afford college. I've looked at community colleges, but I'm not sure there yet. But it's like, as I'm just trying to build a life for myself, I don't know. It's like everything. It's like I'll try to go out to start applying for, I don't know, like a loan or something like that, to get a cosign or something with my parents to start building credit, and that just falls through. They just say no. Or I'll try to again get a job or somewhere or something like that, and either if it's anything that I'm trying to build that I'm like, hey, this is a good career place, no. I just feel like every corner is no, and there's no progress.
Yeah, this chapter of life, in my opinion, doesn't get enough respect from older people, because life is hard, and life does kind of get harder in certain ways the older you get. But where you are, from the sound of it, is an exceptionally hard time, because you're building from nothing. It's a lot of work, and I remember when I was at that age, it just seemed insurmountable. It seemed like I would never be able to build a life. I can remember that feeling of just, I'm resonating with everything you're saying, and it's kind of taking me back to my own childhood. Yeah. And I'm sorry you're feeling that way. And I hope it comforts you knowing that a lot of people feel that way when they are where you are. And I'm glad you're applying yourself. Glad you're putting yourself out there and trying, even though it's hard.
Yeah.
That's half the battle.
Well,
that's great.
Yeah. And it's been great too with I don't want to take too much of your time, but with what you're doing, it's been great, because I've been hearing things, people my age, and they're saying different things, but it's all in that same vein of the anxiety and intensity, and so I'm learning that I'm not alone in this.
Awesome.
And that's great. So really, thank you for doing what you're doing.
That is what this is about. Thank you so much for calling in tonight. Take care of yourself, and call back anytime.
Yeah, thanks, Julian.
Take care. That is what this is about, people. I'm so happy to hear things like that. Okay. Calls are coming back on. Here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
No way. Hello.
Hi there. What would you like to talk about?
I don't really know. My name's Clover.
Toast. Hello. Thanks for calling.
Hey.
What would you like to talk about?
So actually, experiencing the loss of my grandma, and kind of how that's affected me on like a creative standpoint.
You were close with your grandma.
Yeah, she was kind of like my mother.
Wow.
for the most part. I didn't really have my mom, so
Wow.
between her and my aunt, she basically raised me.
Wow. And she just died.
Yeah, I'm actually. This is about a year later after losing her, and
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It still affects me pretty much every day.
Oh. So is this, it sounds like you're depressed. Sounds like this is affecting is it affecting your work?
Yeah, kind of. It definitely has put a lot of stress and depression. I mean, I've dealt with depression for most of my life already, and
Mm.
she was one of the few people that I always had to fall back on and could always talk to. And without having her there for that, it's hard.
Right. What was your grandma like?
Uh, she was honestly one of the nicest people that like everybody always says she's one of the nicest people you'd meet. She was religious, but she didn't like try to push any kind of viewpoints or anything on me once I got to like a certain age and things like that. She was still supportive of me no matter,
Wow.
what I decided to do.
That's amazing.
As a matter of fact, she used to watch some of your videos with me as well. She liked a lot of the stuff that you did too.
Wow. So, what does your day-to-day look like? I mean, you said it's affecting your work. You're not going to lose your job, are you?
Not my current one, but I was up until pretty much the moment that I found out that she died. I was doing a lot of film and stuff. Like I've been tried to do YouTube for years, since like 2010. Never really took off, and then discovered TikTok of all things, and surprisingly got a really good following on there to the point that it actually became my job. I had a live show that I did with a friend of mine every week, and pretty much the day I got the news about her, it all just kind of stopped.
Mm.
And so I've kind of been back into doing work that I've done for most of my life that I kind of hate.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's hard to get that motivation back to do what I love to do. And I think the biggest thing is because she's not here to be proud of me and to show her what I've done.
Wow. Wow. Man, my heart just breaks for you. It sounds like you did a lot of that stuff, not for your grandma, but it sounded like she was a cheerleader for you.
Yeah, she's always kind of been there as a part of it for me. Like she was there. She got me as a gift like the equipment to do my first song, like do
Wow.
stuff like that. She liked to be in some of the videos that I did, and she was always kind of like just that support.
That's so special. You'll have videos with your grandma forever. I have a grandma that was in a few of my videos, and she died a few years ago. And it sounds like you're a lot closer with your grandma than I was with mine. But I was still devastated when she died. She lived a nice long life, so it wasn't out of nowhere. But I'm so thankful I have those videos with her, and I'm sure you must be too.
Yes, definitely. I mean, some of the videos, not videos that I want to show other people, just the portions that she's in, because like, I was young and they weren't as great as I would like to do now, but that's beside the point.
Right. What do you think is a small practical step you could take tomorrow towards healing? I mean, I know that's kind of sounds like that's the $1 million question, but if this is affecting your work and your creativity, you said your grandma was a cheerleader for you. Is there someone else in your life that could step up to that place a little bit more? Maybe no one will be there in the full way that your grandma was for you, but is there a close friend or another family member? You mentioned your aunt. Is there someone else that you could confide in and say, I'm struggling and need a cheerleader, or, I don't like the word cheerleader, but, somebody to root me on.
Yeah. Well, I do still have my aunt, and she's definitely been there for a good portion of it. She was also a supporter when, I would do the videos, because I used to live with her for a time as well. So she would help with things like that. But it also feels a little bit different, I think, because in the beginning of doing these videos, I had a friend that I would pretty much it was like a team. We would do stuff together. And he was also kind of close to my grandma. Like, they had a decent relationship. He knew her well and things like that. And over the years, it's still talk every once in a while, but we don't do the videos like we used to anymore.
Right.
And so my aunt doesn't necessarily have that same connection to what feels like almost a nostalgia for how it used to be whenever I first started.
I see.
But I do say I do have my fiance now. Well,
Oh,
not
that's good.
yet fiance, but soon to be fiance.
Soon to be fiance.
But,
yeah, they're gonna say yes.
Broke the question yet?
They're gonna say yes, huh?
I'm pretty sure we've had a lot of talks about our future, and it's pretty much she's asking me, almost every day. It's like, so when are you gonna marry me?
Uh-oh.
But yeah. But no, she's definitely been a good support. Because I knew her before my grandma passed away, but we didn't really start dating until afterwards. But she's definitely been there for me through a lot of it, and has helped me heal to the point now where I'm able to do more. But it's still, it's still, it doesn't make it any less hard.
Right. You'll probably be mourning that loss for a long time, is my guess. My heart breaks for you. I'm so sorry you lost that person in your life. Ugh. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything, what could make this call beneficial for you?
I guess just, I don't know, for me, like, I've definitely looked up to and like watched a lot of your videos, so I have a lot of respect for you, like, creatively and things like that. So it just, I don't know, I get it kind of helps to talk to you about it, I guess, but also as like a fellow like filmmaker, somebody that likes to do those kind of things, advice on like motivation to get myself to move forward and to get back into doing the thing that I love. Like, have you gone through lapses like that has affected your creative work?
I have. We're not here to talk about creative slumps, though. But
Okay.
I do appreciate you calling in to share about your grandma. I'm seeing the chat light up with other people who've lost family members, and I hope it's helpful for people to hear from you. I do want you to call back if you're still dealing with this in the future. Let us know how it's going.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. All right. Phone lines are coming back on. Hello, thanks for calling. Toast. Hello, thanks for calling. Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Thanks for calling. What would you like to talk about? Toast. Hi, thanks for calling.
Thanks for calling. What would you like to talk about?
Toast. Got a lot of toast tonight. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi. So, recently my fiance has actually become pregnant, and I'm dealing with a lot recently because I have schizotypal, so emotions don't work well with me, and she's going through emotional times, and I don't know how to exactly handle that since I don't understand emotions very well.
Wow. Are you able to share
So
what you're going through? What the real issue is? You said your fiance. Is it your fiance or your girlfriend? Remind me. I'm sorry.
girlfriend, so she's going through obviously pregnancy causes emotional stress and everything like that, but the difficulty I have is I just recently started a new job and stuff like that, and I don't handle emotions very well
What do you mean
through
by
my
that?
reasoning.
You don't handle other people's emotion very well?
Yeah, I kinda numb myself as soon as an emotion hits, just through different reasons, and I'm not gonna get into religious reasons and stuff, but it's it the reasons I went through. I can't handle emotions, and I'm a very numb person,
Hmm.
and it's difficult for me when someone addresses their emotions. I blink and don't know what to do or say, and especially during a pregnancy and handling that,
Were you always this way?
it's very difficult. What was that?
Were you always this way? Uh, what was the terminology you used? Schizotypal?
Yeah, schizotypal.
Have you always had that?
I was recently diagnosed probably about 6 months ago or so.
Have you always felt that way?
But yeah, pretty much through my life, I had a lot of seclusion and stuff in my life where it was very lonely times as a child. So I kind of bottle up emotions, but I also don't know what emotions are and how to express them. So it's very difficult currently going through that with I want to support my or my girlfriend, but it's difficult for me to be there for her when I don't understand emotions. And pregnancy is a very obviously emotional time and everything going through with that.
Have you guys tried group counseling for your relationship?
Not yet. I did recently get a new job, so I know I do need to go through therapy and stuff like that to help it. But I don't know what to temporarily do until that time hits, because she's been going through a lot, and I feel like I can't be there for her how I want to be.
Right.
And I don't know how to express any of those feelings.
How does that make you feel when you can't be there for her in the way she needs? Do you feel anything?
More or less kind of confused. Like I lock up and don't know what to do.
Wow. Is it an anxiety thing? Or is it just numb?
Yes. It's slightly an anxiety thing. I'm not as anxious for the pregnancy. I'm excited for the pregnancy, but the current wanting to be there for her, and I am taking medication and stuff for anxiety, so that does assist. But yeah, I'm not meeting her mark, and I feel bad, extremely bad, and just having it where someone explains the situation and be like, hey, you should try to be like this or be like that. With what I have, that's not exactly how it works. You can't just tell me, oh, be like that, be like this. Because, I'm 32 years old and I've been dealing with it all of that time. And I can't exactly just change it overnight.
Right. It doesn't sound like that. What would make this a helpful call for you? What are you looking for? You just want to get that off your chest?
I'm just looking. I don't know if you've went through pregnancy and stuff like that. What's the best method to assist someone during that time? When there's emotions and the morning sicknesses and all that type of stuff. What should I do or what could I do to assist her through those issues, especially with the emotional, I guess over emotional and random cry stuff. And like when someone cries, for me, I kind of lock up and don't know exactly what to do when that happens.
Right. Yeah, when during pregnancy, people get crazy. They get, manifest in all kinds of different ways. It's different for everybody, obviously, but I have 3 kids, so I'm very familiar with how pregnancy can change someone. And it sounds like you're very aware of the circumstance. It sounds like you're aware of your impact on the situation with your condition. It sounds like that. Are you accommodating? Are you able to recognize? I know you say you can't feel emotions, but are you able to recognize when she needs something from you, and are you able to accommodate?
I mean, that's what's been slightly difficult, I suppose, for me, is we had discussions and stuff. We do try to communicate very well tonight. And again, recently starting a job, and I was remote for like 2.5 years, and now I'm having to drive to an office. Has also been a change for me. Recently switched medication, so it's been overwhelming. And then pregnancy hit, and I mean, I was excited for that, definitely, but also the emotions, and I can feel her strain, and I do try to help, and it's hard to, I mean, as you said, you had 3 kids, it's hard too when you're going through your own personal trauma and everything, to also try to wear the burdens of someone else. Not that pregnancy is a burden, more or less, but trying to essentially cut yourself off of everything that you're personally going through, and then address that person. But again, we did discuss it a little bit tonight about it, and went through what I could attempt to do, but that's not necessarily how it works for me. Like, you can give scenarios on how to fix it, but I can't change overnight to help that situation.
No, you can't change overnight. I don't think anybody can, especially when you're dealing with with a condition like you have. I imagine that's probably a lifelong journey with something like that. And I think you guys need to have some couples therapy. I think you guys need to have some couples counseling for sure. I mean, probably for a long time, especially because you're introducing a kid to the mix. That's going to, once the kid's here, it's going to be a whole other host of problems and challenges. So, it's smart of you to be thinking about this now, and I'm really glad you called in. And I hope it helps just to vent about it. And
Definitely, it does help.
I think you sound like you're very aware of what's going on. I mean, I don't feel like you're giving yourself enough credit. I think you told me that you feel like she needs things from you, and you're not able to give it to her. And you laughed when I said pregnancy makes people crazy. Obviously it's kind of a mean way to say it. I don't really think it makes people crazy, but it's a lot of hormones flying through people's bodies.
I get what you mean.
And I think with some therapy and more just trying to be accommodating. If she wants pickles at midnight, go get some pickles. I don't know.
Has been craving spicy food, so I've been trying to buy a bunch of hot sauce and whatnot.
There you go. See, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. Good for you. That's great.
Yeah, it's just the emotional support that unfortunately I lack, and it's difficult for me because I kind of lock up.
Right, and maybe you can't give her that. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Maybe you can. I have no idea. That's why I say you guys got to get some counseling, because at the very least, if you guys love each other, at the very least, you guys can come to some agreements about what you both are able to contribute and what you're not able to contribute to the relationship. And, that's what's great about couples counseling, is you can just come to understandings. and makes things like that easier. No two people are ever completely compatible, in my view. So I think that's what's so great about counseling. And I don't understand when people are opposed to it. I know some people can't afford it, and that's unfortunate. And I think, I will say that there are, for those people who can't afford it, or at least afford a good one, there are plenty of therapy offices that will work with people who are lower income, and they'll do a sliding scale or even pro bono work. And also, there's a lot of interns at their counseling offices that will work for free. So there are options. And all of these are better than doing nothing. So I think it's
yeah,
great.
definitely. Like,
yeah,
doing nothing and expect changes is one of the definitions of insanity. So
right. Well, thanks so much for calling in tonight. Call us back if you're still dealing with this in the future.
definitely, thank you so much for all your help.
Take care. Okay, turning the calls back on. Here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey, is this Julian Smith?
Yes. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I don't know. I've been really worried about my occupation recently. Like, I've gotten into this construction apprenticeship. Like, I'm an electrician, right? Or apprentice electrician. And I don't know, my whole childhood and, throughout high school and stuff, like, I've been like this inside sort of, extremely online, nerdy friends type. And I've just kind of chosen the, go ahead.
I'm listening.
Oh. And so I've just kind of chosen this career, but it's not exactly like, to be an electrician or like a construction worker, you have to be it's a very hands-on, in the moment type of stuff, like very mechanically minded. And it's like, I'm not mechanically minded, but, I've just been worrying about, whether I'll be able to develop the skills, and the mechanical mindset to be able to, be an electrician.
Are you depressed, or is there something keeping you from working, or what's going on?
No, I mean, I struggle with anxiety, but it's not like I've always been able to work, but yeah.
So you're just calling for some career advice?
Well, no, I don't know. I was just calling to talk to Julian Smith. This is actually kind of cool.
Toast. Turning the calls back on. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey, Julian.
Hello.
Oh. Hi. So my problem is I recently came across information that could make my brother lose his job. We work together, and I'm not really sure what to do with it. I've told one other person about how that sort of happened, and I'm not sure really how to handle this, or if I tell somebody else, I feel like it's going to get out and he's going to lose his job and his career, and like,
what happened?
Financially, he's not. I found out that for some context, like, he works in a church, and I found out him and his wife were having other people in their marriage, like in their sex life, and it was hard for me to, like, initially the first day was very disorienting, and I wasn't sure how to feel about any of it, because I just really looked up to him, like, as a Christian, and him as a Christian. Like, I just always saw him as a role model for me, and like, him kind of a few years ahead of me. Like I've always looked up to him and him setting examples for me. And so it was just very hard for me hearing this. And then
Right.
Just everyone that I feel like I normally talk to, I can't because they, like, he could end up losing his job if they knew. And so I've just really felt stuck with this piece of information, and I don't know what to do with it.
Are you thinking about telling someone, or what do you think you're going to do with this?
I know I wanted to tell my girlfriend, also soon to be a fiance, similar to the other person that was on earlier, but even that's been hard because I don't want her perception of my brother to change. Ultimately, I don't think it would. It would just be hard initially for her to hear that.
Right. Does anybody know? Anybody besides you?
Outside of the one person I talked to, no. As far as I'm aware. I don't think he doesn't know that I know either. And so I just feel like I've been locked in this bubble.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's really heavy. I'm struggling to know the full, and maybe you're not sharing everything, or maybe I missed something. I have been tending to the chat a little bit while you were talking, so I apologize if I missed something, but I'm still not totally clear on what happened. And if you don't want to share, then you don't have to. But can you go into more detail on why he's going to lose his job? I know you said it's a church.
It's just not something that's like having worked at that church previously. Like I know it's something like they don't really approve of their leadership kind of living that lifestyle, or living outside of, I don't know. I don't know really how to say it.
Do you disagree with the church? Do you disagree with these people on what the issue is? Are you okay with your brother, or is it?
I've known for about a month now, and I've just been like, I work with him as well, in like film and other things, but I just don't know how to deal with how I feel about it, or how to really process this without like risking him losing his job, like, because like him and his wife are pretty tight on like money and stuff, and like if he lost his job, then they'd be screwed over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there a lesson you think your brother should learn? Does your brother need to own up for this?
I don't know. Like I've just been like praying about it, but like I don't know if that's something he needs to learn, or something he needs to learn, or something I just need to just accept. Like I know like everybody's flaws, everybody has their problems, but it's just.
Have you tried talking to your brother about this?
No.
Why not?
I worry it's gonna change our relationship.
It might.
Yeah.
but it might be better than just ratting him out.
Mhm.
There's probably a way you could do it where it's respectful and, you know, shows him that you care and that you value the relationship, but that you just are going to shoot him straight and be honest. Maybe he'd appreciate it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. I also don't expect like straight answers from you because like yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing. Um and like the amount of like I've just listened to a couple of the things while I've been working over the last couple of days. Um but I really appreciate this.
I'm so glad to hear that. Is there anything is there, what can I do for you? What would make this a good call for you? A helpful call? Is there anything else?
I don't know if there's anything else. Like I don't know. Like even just saying this has helped me, you know, not just keeping it inside.
A bunch
I
of people in
have,
the chat are saying you should talk to your brother too.
Oh, I haven't been looking.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think you know, things happen in life and they change our relationships, and that stuff can be scary. I'm not sure what kind of experience you've got with things like that, but I do think if this is something you feel strongly about, then the chat and I are telling you got to talk to your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll respect you for not escalating it and not risking losing his job. Maybe he'll really consider what's going on if he knows that you just went to him. Maybe it makes things weird for a few weeks or a few months, maybe longer. Who knows? But you know, it's going to eat you if you don't.
Yeah. That's the one thing my one friend was telling me about, or saying, is that if I do just keep it in, it's just gonna bubble up, and I don't know, it's not gonna be healthy for me.
Right.
But
I agree with your friend.
Yeah. No, thank you, Julian.
Thank you for calling in. Call back anytime.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
To the caller before last, whom I toasted, I just want to say, yeah, I'm not trying to be rude. We're looking for people that really need to talk. And there's a lot of people trying to get in here that just need to talk. They just want to vent something anonymously, and that's what this is. And we're trying to find those people. I promise you guys I will do this. I will make this better because I don't want you guys to think I'm just being a jerk. I will do one of these without all the serious stuff. We'll just do a viewer call-in hour sometime, and we'll just let anybody call in and say hi, and we'll just have some fun. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Would that make this seem less crazy? Let's see how that goes in the chat. If you guys like that, we'll do it. Okay, great. And I will turn the calls back on. Calls are coming back on, and I'm coming right back. Here they come. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going all right. How are you doing tonight? What do you want to talk about?
Are you interested in talking about like science or like technique?
Toast. No. I mean, I am, but not tonight. We're trying to find people that have to talk about something. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hello, what do you want to talk about?
I guess just short story. I've never met my real father, like biologically,
Hmm.
and I met someone who knows him, and I'm from a really small town, so I feel like I'm the only one that's never met him,
Hmm.
and it's been kind of eating at me lately.
Do you want to meet him?
Um, the he was my mom's crack dealer,
Whoa.
and yeah, I was just a payment for something.
Wow.
He they put a classified ad in the newspaper, and he called in and said he didn't want anything to do with me,
Oh my gosh.
and it's just been something I've dealt with all my life, and there's a bunch of offshooting problems from it, and I just moved back to my small town from living in like all the way across the country, and I haven't had to deal with any of these problems for so long, and it's just been kind of eating away at me lately.
I can hear it in your voice. You're so brave to call in and talk. I feel so many things for you. Goodness. How did you learn this?
Which part?
You said you were a payment for some drugs, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm mixed race, and I'm in a predominantly white town. So I always got asked questions, and I have a stepfather and my mother who told me that my stepfather was my real father. So
I see.
it came around that I'm related to pretty much everyone who is the same race as me, like my other race. So I'm like white and African American. And one day, someone who was my friend came up and said that his grandmother told him that his uncle was my dad. And I told him he was a liar because I had always believed my dad was my dad.
You mean your
And
stepdad?
I
You thought your
confronted my
stepdad was your
mother,
dad?
and
Am I
she told
tracking?
me that he was lying, and then I kept pushing, and eventually she told me that he's just a sperm donor, and she started just trying to like push me away from it as much as possible. And eventually she admitted she was just really messed up on drugs, and they didn't even have a relationship. She just was trying to get her fix, and that's all she had.
My gosh. I'm trying to track with you. You said that you told this you told this person they were a liar when they were trying to reveal the true identity of your dad, and you said that I'm just trying to make sure I understand your story right. You said that you told them they were a liar because you believed your stepdad was your real dad. Is that right?
Yeah, and then I confronted my mom with what the person said, but she was really shaky
Right.
about it. Like, I could just tell she was lying the whole time, and it was just something that really, I didn't know about any of this until I was 14. And the crazy thing is, the person who told me was my best friend for the longest time as a kid, and I went over to his house all the time. And I guess one of the real compounding things is that friend who was my cousin, because like I said, his uncle was my real dad. He lived with his grandmother, and that was my grandmother, and I never really put that together until she died last month, and I was reading all of her grandkids being read out in the obituary, and I stopped and thought that I wasn't on that list because her and my mom made a deal when I started being friends with the person who told me that if they ever told me I would never be allowed to see her again. So my grandmother lied to me just so I could be in her life.
Ugh. My heart is breaking for
I
you.
don't think I ever even got to acknowledge her before she died. It's just a lot of, I guess I'm just having an identity crisis.
Right. Can you remind me when you learned all this? I mean, it sounds like it was all in pieces, but when did the full brunt of this hit you? How long have you been dealing with all of this?
Since I was 14, and I'm 24.
Wow.
Now,
10 years.
My grandmother died this year.
Do you have a support system around you? Do you have any family that you trust and that you love and that loves you? Or are you just completely isolated?
I have a wife and 2 kids. It's just...
A wife and 2 kids.
It's just something I can't... I dropped out of high school, joined the military. I'm out of the military now. It's just... I don't know. I ran away from home, basically, I guess, in, like, the smarter way than just packing a bag. But it's just been... I'm starting to wonder if all my life choices have been fueled by trying to run away from thinking about this stuff. And now that I'm back around a place where everyone I talk to on the street asks me how's my dad, and I have to tell them I've never met him.
Right.
Because everyone knows, and I just don't. The person I met told me that my dad's a great guy when he's not messed up on something. And that's just a really hard thing to hear, like someone call my dad a great guy.
I can only imagine. My goodness. How's your family? Your wife and kids? They know. I'm guessing your wife knows about this and she supports you. I hope.
She doesn't think it should be a problem, just because she thinks it's something I should just get over and deal with.
Wow. I disagree strongly.
She just doesn't deal with her. She deals with her own problems in her own special way, and I'm not. She has a hard time understanding that I can't do it that way.
Right. No, you can't do it that
and
way.
This problem just seems I can't work through. It seems like something that is so outside, like the world is in control and not me.
Yeah, you've been dealt a very unfair hand of cards. You've been dealt my friend. Is your dad still living? Would you want to meet him?
He is. I just don't. I stalked him on Facebook, honestly, and he raises dogs to race tracks, and all he does is post about how much he loves raising his dogs and watching them turn into champions. And that kind of puts an idea in my mind of why he values dogs more than his own children.
Do you have siblings?
It's just really hard. The side of the family he comes from, they all kind of sell drugs together, I guess. Half of my family's in prison right now, and they're just so proud of it. They're all so proud of it, and it's something I don't want to associate with.
Right. Good for you.
my cousin called me and asked me to give him money for baby formula. And I told him I was going to go buy him baby formula. I went to the store, I took a picture, and he told me I don't need it anymore because all he wanted the money for was to buy drugs.
My goodness.
He was just willing to use his kids to lie. And that's happened with... I recently met my half-brother for the first time, and he did literally the same thing, and I just don't know what to do. Part of me really wants to just double my family instantly, because it's something my stepdad's family's never really been close with me, and I kind of get why, because they don't really consider me part of their family, but...
Right. I was just asking if you had siblings, and it sounds like you have met some half-siblings. Do you have any reason to believe there would be any healthy, functioning, non-addict half-siblings out there?
No.
Don't think so.
Really.
Well, that makes you the champion of your lineage. That makes you the hero. That means you're the fastest runner. You're the strongest one. I mean, you've made it all this way. I don't know your full story. We've only been talking to you for about 10 minutes, but I heard you say earlier that you've been wrestling with thoughts that you've just run away from all your problems, and I guess I just want to ask, is it possible that that's not true? Is it possible that you've created a healthy distance between the dysfunction of your family and yourself so that you could create a new life the way that you want it to look? Is that possible that you've done that?
I think I've made way more progress than anyone in my family has.
Sounds like it.
I just don't know if I'm going to be able to raise my kids in a way where they don't feel like they're missing out on so many family members that all the other kids have at school.
Right.
They're gonna have one grandma, they're going to have less, and I'm just worried because that's how I felt growing up.
Well, what better person to raise those kids than you? Someone who knows what that feels like.
That's a very good point.
You're going to be the best dad to your kids. You're going to be I can tell you're an amazing dad. You're sitting here, you're sitting here, you've just unloaded all these problems, and you're telling me you're thinking about your kids. That's amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
I want to encourage you. I don't know what you need. I don't know what I can say to encourage you, but you are such a special person. I can tell from just talking to you and hearing your voice. You're feeling a lot. You're feeling so many things, and you must feel so alone. You must feel... I remember you said earlier at the beginning that you feel like you have no family support. That makes you incredibly strong. You've started your own family without any of that support. That's amazing.
Sometimes it's hard to put credits on yourself when you feel like there's more you could be doing.
Right. It may also be hard for you. Maybe it's hard for you to feel your contributions for your kids, to feel like a good dad when you grew up in the dysfunction you grew up in. Maybe that stuff overshadows everything good in your life. Is that possible?
I think it is. Sometimes I'm just stuck in such a negative way of thinking.
Right. I think that's understandable.
I just really needed to talk about this.
I can tell. I'm so glad you called in. What else can we talk about? What else is there? What would make this a beneficial call for you?
I really don't think there's much more than I I just would have too much if I went into all the stuff that happened to me in the military. So
Give me
don't
something. Let's go.
I don't think there's anything. I I like I said, I was a high school dropout. So when I joined the military, I didn't have first dibs on whatever I wanted to do. I just had to wait for something to kind of open. And I ended up in a job I didn't really want, but I was super excited and super devoted. And when I got there, I got really sick. I don't know if it was moving because I made like 3 cross country moves back to back, but I got really sick for like 3 months. And before I even started working, I got a reputation as a guy who dodges work, and everyone was already talking about me. And it got to the point where, as a new guy, I got asked if they would like, my supervision asked me if I was looking for a way to get kicked out, and said they would be happy to provide. So I ended up telling them it was just bad luck and that I was devoted, and I was. For months, I was devoted to my job. And eventually, I started to see a lot of like people being unsafe and breaking rules. So I tried talking to people personally and got told to push off. I tried reporting it and got told to push off, until the point where someone told me it's play ball or they'll find a way to get rid of me. And I kind of put that to the side. And I was like, they're joking. I'm just going to do what I think's right. And then eventually I started getting in trouble for things I wasn't doing. I'd be out working and someone would make a mistake and I'd watch them do it and I'd be the one who got in trouble for it. And that kept happening until eventually I had a really bad rap, like really bad reputation everywhere. And it got to the point where every day all everyone would talk to me about is how they wish I wasn't there and how I just make their lives harder. And I started contemplating suicide, and I was really, really forward with it. And I told everyone, I was like, this is how I'm feeling. And they told me that was just another reason I needed to be out of their environment. That was another reason I wasn't good enough to be in the military. Until the point that I did attempt suicide, and I was sent to a mental health hospital.
You did attempt suicide. How long ago was that?
This was, 3 years ago.
Were you married then? Did you have kids then?
I was married, and my firstborn was, he was 5 months away from being born, and I was stuck in a mental health hospital. And I still remember the second day I was in that hospital, I got a message from my wife saying I wasn't the husband, I wasn't going to be a good husband because I couldn't be there for my family.
Oh my goodness.
Because someone who tries to kill themselves can't raise a kid. And I'm sitting here in a mental health hospital that I was forced to go to because of a suicide attempt, being told. My wife told me verbatim that she would be better off if I did kill myself.
Your wife told you you'd be better off if you did kill yourself?
She said she would be better off if I did kill myself. She said I wasn't going to be a good father, and it would have been better off for her and my unborn son if I did kill myself.
Is this the same woman you're still married to?
Yeah. She probably should have spent some time in a mental health hospital herself, too. and we since really fixed our marriage from
Good.
that. But I want to say that's probably the darkest day of my life.
Right.
Was that day sitting in the hospital hearing that from the one person I thought actually would still support me.
I have to imagine that with all that was going on with the work at the time, you were saying that you just got this bad reputation. You were mislabeled as a problematic worker and that nobody wanted you around. And I can only imagine what that must have felt like given how you grew up and given that your parents never wanted to raise you and they weren't responsible parents. And it makes my heart break for you knowing that drove you to a suicide attempt. And I'm so glad that you're still here and that you didn't give up and that you look at you. You've raised a family now. I mean, you're raising a family. You've got another kid. You've got 2 kids. And it sounds like you've taken proactive steps in your marriage. Sounds like your marriage has improved. Is that right?
It's probably the thing I'm most proud of is from where I've taken my marriage. I've been with my wife since middle school, and we've been through really terrible things, both of our faults, but I feel like we're the strongest we've been ever, and that's
Amazing.
why it's not... I'm okay with her having her own beliefs, and it doesn't really hurt me that she doesn't support me with the other stuff like I feel like I want, but it is one of the things I hold on to strongest, and it's one of the reasons I haven't contemplated suicide in those 3 years. I haven't done it. I'm not going to do it ever again.
Great.
But it's just
suicide is so misunderstood. People don't understand where people are when they're contemplating suicide. I'm so glad that you got to that hospital and you got the help you needed. And it sounds like you've really processed all of this in a really healthy way. It sounds like you're still processing a lot. It sounds like you may be processing it for the rest of your life. I mean, that stuff you just told me about your childhood is heavy. That's heavy stuff. I think it's amazing that you've got a family now that you've built. You've built that family intentionally. And that is so beautiful. That you are amazing. Your story is so inspiring. I hope you realize how amazing what you've done is. Do you realize how amazing this is?
I don't tend to dwell on what I've done. I try to dwell on what I'm going to do, and that's kind of how I keep myself going.
I hope you take time to love yourself and appreciate what you've done, and despite what you came from. I hope you take time to appreciate what you've built, despite what you came from. So many people would have given up. So many people do give up, and your story's extreme, and you didn't give up.
Thank you.
You're an incredible person.
I feel a lot better. That was a good cry.
You have got to go revisit the live replay chat after this because you are getting so much love in this chat. Everybody is on fire for you, and I've never seen them light up for anyone in this way, and you have got to go revisit this chat when we're done and watch the live replay of it because I think it will be very helpful and encouraging for you. And I think you probably need to feel some love. I think you probably need people around you that you've probably gone so long without that support and gotten so good at supporting yourself and just owning your stuff and doing the work that you've probably gotten to a place, I imagine, that you don't need that. You've just gone so long without support that you just don't need it. But I want to tell you, I think you do need that. I wish I could just, I want you to see how amazing everybody thinks you are, and I think you got to go read this chat about that's happening during this call, because you are your story is unbelievable, and you are amazing for taking the path you've taken and doing all the work you've done, and for not giving up. And you are not a loser for contemplating suicide and attempting suicide. You are not a bad father for going there in your head. You have been through some things that no one knows what that's like, except for people who go through it. And it's, you had me on the verge of tears. I'm doing my best to hold it together here and just follow what you're saying. I mean, it's just unbelievable what you've been through. And I'm so glad you called in, and I'm so glad you shared what you shared, and I hope it's helpful for other people to hear that. And how are you feeling? Well, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think I got anything left in me right now.
You might be tired after what you just did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Promise me you're not going to forget to go read the replay chat. The chat replay.
I've been reading along, but I'll go all the way back to it.
Good. I hope you know that you're supported here in this place, and that there's people here that care about you and see the hero that you are. You are a hero. You're amazing. And I hope that you find people in your life that can be better supporters of you. I think that you need to pursue relationships like that. You're probably a busy guy. You got a young family. I don't know if that's in the cards for you to seek out some deep personal relationships, people that can see you for what you are. But I hope that, do you have anybody like that in your life besides your wife?
I have 3 really close best friends.
Good. And they know your story.
Yeah, they do. All of us have our problems.
Yeah, man.
We're all there for each other.
You've got some story. That's book worthy. You got to write a book.
College first before thinking of stuff like that.
What's that?
I have to get through college first.
You're not through college yet. Wow. I guess that makes sense. Military, man, you're in college and raising kids and dealing with all of this. My goodness. You are so strong. I hope you realize how strong you are. You are such an inspiration.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for calling. Call back anytime.
Goodbye.
Take care. Oh, my goodness. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey, Julian, what's going on?
Hello, what would you like to talk about?
So, the other night, I called in regard of some false allegations that were made against me a couple years ago. I know I said I didn't want to get into the specific allegations themselves, but this time I'm going to give you kind of a mental picture. So a couple years ago, I was falsely accused of pedophilia and threatening to shoot up my home school district. And it has affected me very negatively. Because people still talk about it once a week at that school, you know, and I just don't know what to do.
Can you jog my memory on what you called in with the other night?
Well, like I said, I was going to talk to you about these things, but you know, I was going to talk to you about how it made me feel. Like I didn't want to get into the accusations.
I see. So we didn't get into it.
Because I mean, I don't know how people would perceive this. Because some people do get the wrong idea.
So what's going on? You were falsely accused of pedophilia? What happened?
Well, I mean, I was at a sporting event, and you know, some kid wanted my attention, so I patted her on the head, you know, and everybody, you know, like started freaking out about the whole thing, you know.
patted a girl on the head and people called you a pedophile?
Yes, exactly. It's fucked up.
Nothing else happened?
No, I'm telling you the truth.
What? So you said there were allegations. Did people file complaints?
Well, if they did, law would have to notify me about it.
So it's not a legal issue. It's just like a gossip thing.
Well, I almost had the cops on my ass, but luckily they went away.
What happened?
I guess the father wanted to file a police report against me. Luckily, the school was nice enough to, tell him off for it. I was also accused of threatening to shoot up the school. I'm not
tell me about
sure
that.
where that came from. Yeah,
So,
it's just...
is this affecting your education? Is this affecting? I'm sure it's weighing on your mind. Is this affecting the education you're getting at school?
It was for a while. I'm doing online now because I actually did transfer to another school prior to doing online. I was actually the same person who called in regarding the whole special education situation too. So I'm doing online now, which is going pretty good actually. I just completed my first course.
Okay. So what's the underlying problem? What's the purpose of this call?
So I feel like this whole entire thing won't go away because people still talk about it on a regular basis, and it creates a lot of anxiety for me, and I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, there may be nothing you can do. People are gonna do and say things we can't control, obviously, and sometimes in life stuff happens we have no control over, and we just got to go through it.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. Are you able to get out of bed and do the work you need to do every day?
Yeah. I actually thought about filing a lawsuit against the father.
Lawsuits are expensive and time-consuming. Do you think that would help?
There's multiple possibilities. I don't know if it would help or if it would make things worse. Knowing my community, it would probably make things worse. People love to push my buttons.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Are you, why do you think that is? Are you rambunctious? Are you an instigator?
No, I happen to be one of those people who has a hard time regulating their emotions during certain stressful situations. Growing up, people have always kind of targeted me, and they would get a reaction out of me, and I would always be the one getting in trouble. So, I don't know, I was always a target for people. And
how old are you?
16.
16.
Yes.
My gut is that this is going to work itself out, and that, unfortunately people are going to talk. People are going to say things that aren't true. I've gone through that. A lot of people do. I'm not trying to diminish what your experience is, but yeah,
I know.
People are going to say things. People are going to do things. I'm glad to hear that you're functioning and that you're getting the education you need, and you've found creative ways to get around this problem. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Because I was in town yesterday, hanging with a friend, and there were these. I'm getting chills right now. There were these two girls that were with us, and they kept backing away from me for whatever reason. I was kind of confused, and then my friend later told me that they were actually scared of me because of the things that were said.
Right.
Like, people are literally frightened of me.
How old is the girl that you patted on the head?
She was 4 at the time. She was like 4 or 5. I think she's 7 now.
Okay. Yeah, man, people are going to talk. People are going to say things that aren't true, and people can even do that stuff in court, and sometimes judges believe it. So it's
right.
I'm glad that you are. You sound healthy. You sound like you're getting through it. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you have people in your life that believe you and your story and are supporting you, or do you have a counselor that's worked with you on this?
I do, and I happen to have one of the best counselors around.
Great, excellent. Glad to hear that. Well, I'm glad you called in, and I hope that you'll call in again if this continues to be an issue. And thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, no problem.
Take care. Hello, thanks for calling.
Julian?
Yes. What would you like to talk about?
Hey. So, I do have a few things I want to talk about, but I just had to take this opportunity to ask about, I guess, just you and some of the stuff that you've done in the past.
Toast. Not what this is about. We'll find another time to do that. This is not about me. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi, Julian.
Hi. Thanks for calling.
Hi. So my problem is I'm a Christian. I grew up Christian, and
okay.
I want to be a good Christian husband to a wife one day, but I don't feel like I'll ever be good enough to lead a woman in a godly way, if that makes sense.
Are you dealing with some inferiority complex, maybe? Or is this like a guilt thing? Or have you done something? Or what's the issue?
I guess you could call it an inferiority complex. I mean, I'm strong in my faith, but yes, there is some guilt around. You know, I feel like it's been beating a dead horse on this stream, but around porn use and other stuff, mainly just porn use. But you know, I'm going to a church, and you know, there's guys at that church that do mission trips and are just super on fire for God, and I feel like any girl there that I would be interested in would not feel led by me. I don't feel like I could lead them or be, you know, the best influence to them.
Do you feel like you're a natural born leader? I've noticed you've used that word a few times. What's significant about the leading thing, and why do you feel like you won't be able to? That was a lot. Well, let's start with the first one. Are you a natural leader or something?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a natural leader, but it's very important to me that I'm able to be a good husband in the future, because right now I have everything I want. I graduated college 2 years ago. I have a job. I'm making good money. I live on my own. I live close to family. But I need to start looking for a wife, and I don't feel like I'm good enough of a Christian for any Christian girl to look up to me, if that makes sense. My mom wanted me to ask this one girl out, and I you know, I like this girl. She was single. She seemed to like me good enough. But she's just such a strong Christian, and I felt like she would think I'm dirt if she got to know me and knew I used porn, or knew, you know, that I don't spend all my time reading the Bible or you know, praying all the time. You know, I spend my free time playing video games. I know I go to church on Sunday. I don't feel like I could be a big enough man for that.
I see.
Do you have experience with that?
Well, it sounds like you're being really hard on yourself. Sounds like you're really down on yourself. Is there something? I know you mentioned porn. Is that it? Are you down on yourself because you're using too much porn? Are you down on yourself because you haven't accomplished enough in life? I'm trying to figure out what is this reason that you're being so down on yourself.
I guess it's seeing porn, obviously. I'm trying to quit, man. It's so hard. It's probably the hardest addiction to kick, I would say, just because of how accessible it is. There's no money. It's, you try to stop, you go days, and then you're right back to it.
How much of your
And
time is this eating up? The porn?
it's hard to keep track, but it's been every day mostly. Sometimes I'll go a day, but it's every day and sometimes multiple times a day. Not often multiple times a day, but sometimes multiple times a day. And it is it's eating me up inside, man. It's the one thing I need to kick before I feel like I can lead a woman. I don't feel like I can love myself. Like they say, you have to love yourself before you can love someone. And man, Julian, I guess you're right. I guess I just don't love myself.
Is it possible that you're putting
I don't.
that you're seeking a relational, is it possible that you're looking at marriage in a way that would be counterproductive for your personality? Like maybe you said you weren't a natural leader, so and yet you keep saying that you don't feel like you could be a leader in your marriage, and I'm wondering like maybe you'd be better off with a partner who is more where that responsibility is shared. Maybe that would put less pressure on you to be this thing that doesn't come naturally to you, because some people aren't natural born leaders. I don't think that's a problem. I think that's maybe that's. Does that sound good to you, or what does that sound like when I say that?
Well, my dad always taught me growing up to be a leader, and
Yeah, it was big in that
I
generation.
have thought about. Yeah, I have thought about dating a woman, that might not be as strong a Christian as, someone who I think might look down on me. But then I run across the fear that, she'll bring me down, or, if we're at the same level, we won't take it seriously enough. And I live under the belief that, having God in the cornerstone of your marriage is above all else. And the worldly part of me just takes it takes control. No matter what I believe or what I think marriage should be, I feel like the worldly part of me will never go away. Because I've tried to quit porn so many times. I'm 24. I'm almost 24. I'm 23. I've been doing this since I was 12.
Right. Do you think if you found a good partner, the porn thing would work itself out?
That's what I'm hoping. I have been in a relationship before, in high school, and I remember struggling to not look at porn then because I felt like I was being unfair to this person I was dating. I mean, even though I'm a Christian and dating isn't really supposed to be a sexual thing, I still felt like, I was giving attention to other women when I needed to have all my attention on this one woman, be it sexual or not.
Right.
And that has shown me that, and is part of the reason why I'm scared now when I'm looking for a wife, that I will be no different in the future. And I've been telling myself, once I find a girl, it'll be easy to kick, because I'll love this girl. But I've been down that path, and that's not what happened. So
I do hear you being very hard on yourself. I do hear you. It sounds like you've got a lot of external influences on what you ought to be. Sounds like maybe were your parents really oppressive with you? Were they really? Did they push a lot of stuff on you? Your parents?
I wouldn't say push. They taught me the right thing. Well, I don't want to invalidate anybody's beliefs in the chat, but they taught me what I believe is the right things. And I'm just trying to live up to that. And maybe they did push it on me, but if they did, it works because I genuinely believe what I'm telling you. I'm not.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm not just saying this because my parents taught me that. I'm not accusing you of thinking that. I'm just telling you that's.
I can tell you really believe it. Yeah.
That's. Yeah.
But you mentioned that your dad instilled in you a strong sense of that leadership is important for a man, and then I heard, but before that, you said that you didn't really feel like you were a natural born leader, and I'm sure that you. I think everybody. What's that?
I can see how that's counterintuitive. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's good. And I'm not saying that. I mean, I think everybody has agency with some aspect of their skills and talents. Like everybody leads in some way, but there are some people who are like just leaders all around. Like they can't not lead, and in everything they do, they are leaders. And it sounds like maybe your dad was that kind of person, and it sounds like maybe you really struggle with that. And it makes me wonder if you've got external influences on you that are counterproductive and maybe giving you some cognitive dissonance. And I'm wondering if you've processed this with a professional in counseling.
I have not. No one knows I use porn other than one of my friends. So I'm kind of alone in that. And I'm so glad I can talk to you about it. You're the second person on this earth that knows, other than me. So talking about it, like many people have said on your stream, is very helpful.
Good.
Just having someone listen and not judge you. And hearing other people's testimonies about porn too has been. I've listened to the stream all night. And first of all, let me just say, the military guy that called, if he's still listening, I want you to know, bro, that you are a hero, and Julian is completely right. And I am inspired by what you did, and I feel inspired to be like you, to lead a family like you have. I just wanted him to hear that.
That's beautiful.
But what was your question again? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to determine what would make this a helpful call for you. It sounds like you're really being hard on yourself. It sounds like you got these really crazy expectations, and I don't mean crazy like you're being crazy. I just mean like maybe there's some unrealistic expectations you're putting on yourself. Maybe, for starters, not everything our parents teach us about life is true. And I know you said you're in your early 20s, so I'm not sure how much of that you've processed in your life. Some people process that earlier than others, and some people process it later than others. And I think some people think that might be because some people grow up in, stable homes, and other people grow up in chaos. And so for some kids, it's easier to look around and be like, this is not working. These people do not know what is going on. And in other cases, it's a lot harder to tell that. So I don't know what you grew up in, and I'm not a professional psychiatrist, but I have grown up in some chaos. And I'm somebody that like really early on began questioning a lot of things about what I was being told. And
Mm-hmm.
I had good reason to do that. And it took me, I was unpacking that into my 30s, and I'm still unpacking it, and I'm in my mid 30s now. So it can take a long time, and it just makes me wonder. I just talked for a long time, but to turn it back to you, it makes me wonder, have you gone through that process of really chewing on what your parents have expected of you in the past, and what is realistic for you, and what new things you want to do with your life? What kind of new, what do you want your life to look like? Have you done that?
I have not extensively. I have reached the point in my life where I'm starting to disagree with my parents on things, be it political things or theological stuff. I'm obviously still a very strong Christian, but things like I was taught predestination. I don't know if you know what that is, but I'm starting to think maybe free will. So yeah, I'm starting to question stuff that my parents told me. But I don't think I'm questioning how important it is to be an anchor in a marriage, to pull your wife, keep your wife up, and her keep me up too at the same time, because I've got high standards for how spiritual I want my wife to be, so that she can hold me up and we can hold each other up. But I feel like I'd bring her down. And I'm guessing, did you not struggle with that? Because I think you're married. Did do you interact with your wife in a helping each other stay strong kind of way? I'm wording that weird, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm divorced, but
Okay.
my marriage was very much a modern marriage where I didn't see myself as like the champion of the family or the leader of the family. That was very much a shared thing in my marriage, and that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the relationship style that I'm attracted to, if you're asking me. But this isn't.
Right.
I'm happy to answer the question. This isn't about me. But
Right. I think experience.
that's why I'm asking
Talking
you.
to someone who, yeah.
That's why I'm at. That's why I'm
Right.
pressing you on what is this leadership stuff about? Like, what? It seems like you've got this real pressure to be the leader, and it seems like that's keeping you from talking to people that you're interested in, and that seems like a problem to me. So I'm
I think
wondering,
you're
I'm
correct.
wondering, what can you do to, what are some small steps you can take to kind of loosen this burden you're carrying and this standard you're holding yourself to? Like, how can you loosen that up a little bit and just enjoy life? And what do you like doing? What do you do? You've told me a lot of stuff you don't like that you do. What do you do like that you do?
Well, I'm a software engineer. I love doing that. I I You mean aspects of myself that I like?
Yeah. What are you good at?
Or
What do you enjoy doing?
well, I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy programming computers. I had a YouTube channel a while ago that I enjoyed working on. You actually commented on one of my videos a long time ago. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't know
I
who
never
you
got to
are.
thank you for that, so thanks for that. But yeah, I I enjoy tinkering and creating, and that's what I've always loved to do. I think I reflect. It's a great way for me to reflect my creation of how God created me in his image, how he creates. I feel like when I create, I'm, getting closer to him. So I think quitting porn, to answer your previous question, will be the first step for me to, because it's one thing to accept who I am to date a girl, and I think there are things I need to stop being so hard on myself on, but I do think the porn needs to stop. That has to go.
All right. You just said it.
Yep. I said it.
Now you got some direction.
And I do. And I kind of had that direction before, but vocalizing it has really helped. I also want to apologize. The first night you did this, I had no idea what it was, and I called in, got ghosted because I made a joke. I had no idea this was serious. I thought you were doing
no problem.
Because
we're just going
fast.
That's
what you're known for.
Yeah, no problem. We're just going fast. We're trying to make a safe space here where people can just get stuff off their chest, like you just did. And I just want to encourage you to continue appreciating the progress you are making in your life, and to maybe spend some time thinking about what you want your life to look like. And I highly recommend you process that with a counselor and not just with me on a 20-minute phone call. Because this is something, if this is something that's coming from external sources like your parents or family in general, then it could be a lot more deeply rooted than you realize. And that might take months of work to uproot and start create better habits. So, I think that it's great you've identified some problem areas to work on, but I also want to encourage you to spend some time thinking about what you want to be in your life, and maybe really audit what your current expectations are, and think about what's realistic for what you know about yourself. Things like what you told me about the leadership thing with your dad. It seems like that's a really big thing for you. Maybe you're not meant to, be Moses, like maybe you're supposed to lead in your work and, the work you do with computers and, lead teams, or, I don't know what your job looks like, but, I'm not telling you not to lead, but I'm not telling you your dad's wrong either. I'm just I sense some cognitive dissonance and some things that you're telling me that just don't, it seems like a mixed bag of things that I'm hearing, and it just feels like that must be really confusing for you.
Right. It is.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm reaching a point in my life where I've got no more goals. So I'm just trying to stay strong in my faith and find someone who I can share that with. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you, Julian.
Thanks for calling in tonight. Call back anytime. Take care of yourself.
Oh.
How we feeling, chat? Phones are open again. I'm going to take a second before I take the next caller. Tell me how you're feeling. I'm going to come back and read the comments. Man, the last two calls were... Ooh. I love that you guys are supporting these people when they're talking, and that this chat is, I feel like this chat is going to be a real resource for callers when they get in and are having deep conversations like we've just had. I'm so glad that you guys are posting the things that you're posting in there for people to go back and read. I just love that so much. Lots of heavy topics. I just hope you're holding up okay. Says Manabandan. I'm doing great. No, there's nothing you can do for me, Isaac Spencer. Just glad everybody's here. This feels like a wonderful space. Okay. So we are taking another caller. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey, Julian.
Yes.
Hey, first I want to say, holy crap, I can't believe I'm actually talking to you. I grew up watching you, so this is kind of mind blowing for me. But but anyway, so I'm kind of struggling with some interior things, mostly like that. So like a little bit of context, I'm a security guard. That's like my little profession. And then it's a very time consuming job and it's very gas consuming. I travel a lot to and from wherever it is I'm going to be working for the day back to my house, and it's usually a lot of like 12-hour shifts and stuff. And then on the side, I'm trying to balance out doing a YouTube channel and all that, just a little minor thing because I got bored one day. And I've been doing this job since June, and I've kind of descended into this point of where I don't feel like myself much anymore. I've kind of gotten very drawn into myself. I don't go out and talk to anybody. All my friends in the real world, I just kind of stay away from, and I still talk to people pretty frequently on Discord and stuff like that, but it's mostly just the friends that I game with. It's not anybody that I can physically meet with. And I feel more at ease when I'm just sitting down playing video games, and that's pretty much the only thing I do these days. And I'm slowly getting concerned more and more each day with myself that I'm getting to a point where I'm just not going to be comfortable with anybody, despite how I want to be as outgoing as I used to be a few years ago, where I used to just like approach a random person on the street and be like, hey, how's your day going? All right, you good? All right, you have a nice day. Stay safe out there, stuff like that. So I guess, have you ever had that kind of internal struggle where you kind of just draw into yourself and you don't really know what to do, and how did you get out of it?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding your real issue. Is it that you're spread thin at work and you don't have much left for other people at the end of the day? And can you turn your speakers off, please? We're getting some feedback.
Oh, sorry. No, it's more along the lines of, this job is a very solitary job, and it's kind of unorthodox because it's a little bit more privatized. So we're in a lot of more. I'm trying to think of a good word for it.
You feel secluded? Misunderstood?
I very.
Okay.
Because like my family and some of my friends in the real world that I try to make, like, even for family plans, like it's very hard for me to make that extra time, because if I want to keep my job and if I want to keep the money rolling in and being able to afford the bills, which these days, as everybody knows, is very difficult. I just have to keep on powering through and keep pushing through the hectic work schedules, which is never the same each week. Sometimes I get 2 days off, sometimes I get 3, which is heaven sent, but then sometimes I'll get 1 or none, and I'll keep going to work. And I never complain to my boss or anything. I'm always willing to push forward and go through it, because at the end of the day, we have a job to do.
Right.
I was in the military before I was doing all of this, and I try to have the same mindset with this job as I did when I was like going through boot camp and going through life and like the fleet and all that stuff. But sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Whenever I try to make plans with my family and my work schedule gets involved, they keep complaining, and I'm just sitting here going, there's not really much I can do. I got to keep the bills paid. I got to keep everything on track. I have a significant amount of debt that I got to get cleared up as well. So to do that, I got to go to work, and I'm taking on more hours so that I can get it done quicker. But it's hard to make people understand, I guess.
Are you married?
If I'm not making any sense, please tell me.
No, I'm following. Are you married?
No, I'm single.
Okay, you mentioned your family. Are you just really tight with your parents and siblings?
I am. We're a very Baptist family. Pretty much born and raised in the church, and I talk with my parents almost daily.
Good. That's great.
They're pretty much some of the only people I talk to, really.
Well, it sounds like you're just under a lot. I mean, I'm trying to, you're sharing a lot, and I'm trying to, triangulate some of the things you're saying. It seems like the big issues are that you're really spread thin. You feel misunderstood because of the kind of work you do. You feel like people don't understand what you go through. And you're working a lot to pay down some debt, and you just got a lot on your shoulders. And you also mentioned that you are going through this personality change where you feel less outgoing and less risk-taking and whatnot. And it sounds to me like you've got a lot of stuff to do, and you don't have much time for fun and games, Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's not necessarily that, cause I'm only 22 years old, and I understand that at this point in life, obviously there is no time for fun and games, and that's not the main question, the main concern, because I don't want to have that childish mindset, of course.
So what's the deeper issue?
At the same time, I don't really get, there's no time for me to sit down and just check myself and be like, okay, am I good? Am I under control? Am I feeling like I'm getting a little am I spiraling into a depressive cycle, or am I still able to keep on going as I am? That kind of thing.
So you're just having you're really in your head about this. Sounds like you're really, is there some kind of standard you're trying to hold yourself to that you don't feel like you're able to meet or something? Or I'm still struggling to understand what the.
Sorry, I'm probably not doing a good job of
No, it's okay. You're trying to unpack it in real time. It sounds like. What's the elevator pitch? What's the 12-second thing that you're feeling that you're having a hard time with?
Because I've been fighting a little depression for a while, but usually just talking to people makes it feel better. As much as I don't like going out and doing anything, that's like I said, I have people that I talk with on Discord, so I'm not alone. But every once in a while, I'll get in my head and think, wow, everything is just falling apart right now.
Right. I don't know. I've never worked in.
To water it down that quickly.
Right. I don't know what it's like to work in private security, so I don't know what you go through. But I am seeing some people in the chat agreeing with you that it's a very socially isolating profession, and that people don't understand. And it makes me wonder if reading the book Tribe might be a good thing for you to read. Have you ever heard of that book?
I have not. Who wrote it?
It's a short book. Actually, hang on. I've got it right here. Good question. Who wrote it? By Sebastian Junger. Might be Younger. It's Junger.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a book. It's a book about it's a book about military. I was turned on to this book by a family member who was in the military, but it's about reintegrating into society as a civilian after being in the military, and it may be completely off base, but it's a really short book. I'm going to show you right here. It's very short. It's how many pages is this? It's less than 150 pages, excluding the source notes at the end. Very easy read, and it's 136 pages. That's how long the actual book is, and it was just a really eye-opening read for me as someone who's never been in the military but has family. It helped me really understand and appreciate what a lot of people go through. That just opened my eyes to things I didn't know were going on before. So I wonder if maybe reading that short book might be helpful for you. I don't know exactly what it's like to go through what you're going through, but I'm glad that you felt comfortable calling in and sharing. How can we make this a productive, beneficial call for you? What do you feel like you need?
I guess my main thing is like, do you think that it's necessarily like a bad trait? Because like I want somebody to like let me know like, hey, you sitting like in my free time, like I get my business done, and then I just stay in my room all the time because I'm living with some family friends right now. That offered me a place to stay because I got kicked out of the place that I was living in due to some circumstances I will not be sharing publicly. But it was a very traumatic experience, and then I started living with these guys, and it's been going really well. But as much as I love these people, I've known them for almost my entire life, and even with this sense of comfort, I get home, I go in the door, close it, lock it, go straight to my room, and then that's it. I just stay in my room 99% of the time, just on my computer editing video footage.
Yeah, maybe you don't
That's
feel...
pretty much the only thing that I do.
Yeah, it sounds like you're going through a lot. It sounds like you got a lot of different factors weighing in on your life. You've got this job that is demanding, and you've got this debt that is demanding, and you've got, not to mention your job is a job where most people in your life don't understand what you go through, so you feel misunderstood, and you've just moved into a house that's not your own, and you're living with people that it seems like they care about you and you care about them, but it's not your place. So not only are you under these crazy work and financial constraints, but you're also... I imagine when you go home at night, it doesn't really feel like home. I imagine you don't really feel like you've got a place to just spread out and be free, and that's probably also really difficult to go through, with not to mention with all the other things combined.
It also didn't help that I got declined because of credit reasons or whatever from the apartment that I applied to, because I was trying to get my first, because again, I'm only 22. I just got out of the military in 2020.
Okay.
So
you were military too?
I was, yes. I was in the Marine Corps for 2 years. I ended up getting out because of mental health reasons.
Wow. Do you have PTSD?
No. I was never deployed. I never saw any action. I feel like if I had gone through pretty much what I'm going through right now, just like leaving the house, getting out, working a job, paying my own bills, and paying rent, because I am paying rent to the people that I live with now. Right. I feel like if I had gone through all of this real world stuff, because I never experienced that, I just got out of high school, worked a couple odd jobs for like a year, and then went into the Marines after that, and then somewhere along the way I got homesick, and it got to the point where it was really affecting me mentally, and they processed me out.
Right.
But I feel like if I had gone through what I'm going through now, then I think I would still be in the military, and my mental state would be in a completely different direction.
That makes sense.
But, I mean, live and learn.
Paulina in the chat says to you, Anon, so many people can relate to that isolation. Do not feel like you are alone. And there's a bunch of positive messages going out to you in this chat. Might be good for you to go read it after this. I just want you to know that Paulina's right. You're not alone. And I'm so glad that you called in and shared. Is there anything else that would make this a beneficial call for you? Do you feel like we got to the bottom of anything, or helped you process anything, or was there something else you wanted to say? Did I lose you? We lost him. I don't know how to call that person back. I'm really sorry. We lost you. Thank you for calling. Next caller, here we go. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi. Oh my God, is this Julian?
Yes, it is. Thanks for calling. What do you want to talk about?
First of all, I just want to say I don't have any problems that are as severe as the few people that have called before, and my heart goes out to them. But my mother, she is basically a walking medical nightmare, and I have been her caretaker for as long as I can remember, and now things seem to start getting worse, and I don't know what to do.
Oh. What's going on with your mom? How old are you?
I'm 23. You know,
Wow.
I'm an adult. I should be able to carry my feelings, but
Well, you're still young. How long have you been taking care of your mom?
ever since I was like, it was around 8 or 9 because she's been sick long before I was born, but it was around 8 or 9 when I learned about her disease.
What happened to your dad?
We don't talk about him. He cheated on her and he dipped. I saw him every now and then because there was a court case, and Mom allowed him every summer and every other winter, but ever since I turned 18, he just kind of dipped. It actually turned out he got a new family, so.
Wow. So you've been taking care of your mom since you were 8 or 9?
I don't want to say taking care, because I mean, like, that implies, you know, like I was some sort of magical worker, but I was the one who gave her medicine. I'm the one because I never got into that. She has something called gastroparesis.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. I've never heard of that.
Well, there are a couple of different variations, and unfortunately she has this very serious case of it where her entire stomach is paralyzed.
Oh my goodness. So she can't
So she has a
digest
feeding
food?
tube that goes directly into her small intestine, and that's how we give her food.
Wow.
That's how we give her medicine. That's how we do all that shit.
Wow. You sound
I'm sorry. Am I allowed to curse? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. You sound I could tell that you've been through a lot because you sound way older than a 23-year-old. I could tell you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm trying to tell you,
Like,
you've had a lot of weight on your shoulders. That's a lot of weight for someone your age to be carrying, and I'm wondering how you're feeling about knowing your mom is in the state she's in. It must weigh on you.
it does weigh on me, but I mean, the way that I try to look at it is, you know, I mean, she's still here with me. I still get to give her medicine and her food every day. So I mean, she's still here. She's still cognizant of me. Like, it's getting to a point where I don't know. Like, it's not only that I'm here and giving her medicine. Because also recently my grandparents moved in, and so I'm trying to take care of them as well. My grandmother's
Oh
not
my goodness.
well, but
My friend, you are swimming in responsibility right now, and you're 23 years old.
yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say I'm swimming in responsibility. I mean, like I said, it's not about me. You know, I mean, my whole life it's always been about them. Even when it wasn't about them, like when I was able to go up to college, I kind of defined myself as a monkey for the people, basically.
So, do you have time for you? I mean,
I try to take time for me, like, and they try to give me as much time for me as I want. You know, I mean, I sleep, so I mean that's something going for me at least, right? And every now and then I like to I play my video games, but anytime that someone says anything or I hear anything, you know, I'm there for them, and it's been hard. I've lost a few relationships. I've lost a few jobs because of it, but
right. Well, I feel like you're not really understanding what you're under, or you're not appreciating it, and that concerns me because you are under a lot, and each time I suggest that, you kind of dismiss it, and that makes me wonder. Like, I'm trying to figure out what reason caused you to call in tonight and share this. I'm guessing that this is not just hard on you because it's your parents and you're taking care of them and they're not doing well. It's your mom rather and your grandparents. But that it makes me wonder, like, you were growing up in this and you've been taking care of your parents so long. It makes me wonder if maybe if you had any time to be a kid. Like, have you always been under this amount of responsibility? Did you have time to be a kid when you were a kid?
I had time to be a kid. I mean, I went to summer camps. I had friends. And to answer your question of why I called in, it's because I've been a fan of, Julian Smith. I've loved your channel ever since I was a kid, and recently I've started getting notifications again, and so I thought, oh, he's live streaming, and then I saw what you guys were talking about, and I thought, oh, well, maybe I could get some. And you've been giving such good advice.
Well, I'm not trying to give advice. I'm happy to answer
Good
questions.
affirmations, and maybe
that's good to hear.
Hearing it from you would make it okay in my eyes. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have a counselor? Do you have someone that is able to be there for you regularly in these? I mean, you're under a lot.
I used to go to therapy. I used to talk about these things with people, but there have been things that have gone on that have just kind of made it to where I can't go there every other day.
Right. It's expensive, time consuming.
And even then, I mean, they never really helped me. I don't know if I was just going to the wrong therapist, but they're all I could afford,
Yeah, and it's even if you're paying a lot of money for a therapist, it's hard to find someone that you really feel like you can connect with, especially if you're somebody that's in your head about things.
Exactly. I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I feel that exact way because I had a therapist and I had him for a lot of my childhood years, and after about 5 years, he left and went to a different part of the country, so I just wasn't able to see him again. But
right. Stacy Genway in the chat says, this Anon is very much a soldier for caring for his mother. Paulina again says, Anon, you seem so sweet. Don't forget about yourself. She's right again.
All of you are very sweet, and I love all of you.
Rexus Infernape, man, these screen names, says, this person is amazing. Persevere, my dude. You're an inspiration. And I just want to make sure that you really understand what you're contributing here, because you're under so much, and you're 23 years old. And I know that that makes you an adult, but you're a young adult, and that's a lot of response. Most people don't go through this kind of thing until they're in their 50s, at least. Like you're kind of an anomaly.
I don't like to consider myself anything special, but I appreciate those kind words from everyone, and especially you.
So how do you? I'm trying to figure out where does this disregard come from? Why do you?
I mean, the disregard comes from. I mean, I don't know. It just I've never considered myself anything special. I just do what I do. I mean, my mom is sick. I take care of her. Someone asks for money. I give them money.
Right. Well, the chat is just lighting up with people.
I live by the rule of we treat everyone great until they give us a reason not to.
That's great. That's beautiful. But there's this chat is lighting up right now with people saying how amazing you are, and I want to make sure you get that, because it sounds to me I don't think you've answered the question directly yet, and that's okay. I don't care. But it makes me wonder if for some reason you're not able to understand or appreciate what makes you special and your value in what you do and the way that you are. Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered that you might not see yourself for what you are, or you might not appreciate yourself?
That may be true. I don't like I said, I don't like talking about me or going into me that often, but I trained to be an actor. I'm trained in musical theater and all that stuff. And my entire life, it was drilled into me of, you know, you're not you, basically. Like, and that's where I get the term monkey for the people, basically. Like, my entire life, even, like, especially because when my mom was sick and even before I knew it, I was just trying to be the one that made her smile. And so it's just kind of this fighting mechanism of everything is a joke or not real and it has ruined a lot of things for me, but I mean it's a coping mechanism at the very end of the day.
Right. Well, it's good that you know that.
I do know that. I just don't know how to escape it, you know? I mean, aside from, you know, I take copious amount. I drink heavily and I smoke weed, and I try to do anything I can. I try to do anything I can to escape the thoughts, but...
Right. Well, that's not good.
It's not good, and I understand that, and I know that. That's
Maybe you should have led with that.
Grown up with. I'm sorry, what?
Maybe you should have led with that. That you're. I can't believe that's just now coming up. That you're self-medicating with alcohol and weed.
Yeah, I don't want to say that weed and alcohol are bad things in general.
I don't believe that to be true either. But again, like I can't figure out why you can't see yourself, and it makes me wonder. I don't know you, but it makes me wonder what that is for you, why you can't see yourself in all you're doing.
That's fair. I mean, realistically, I mean, I haven't done much. I mean, I know everyone is saying, oh, I'm a soldier for taking care of my mother, but I mean, isn't that something that every kid should do?
Yeah, but you are
taking
under
care
a
of your
law.
family, isn't that something that everyone should do?
Yes, but I think the distinction we're all making, myself and the people in the chat, is that that you have experienced something most people don't experience till much later in life. And even with that, like, your parents aren't just dying. Your mom's not just dying because she's of old age. It's like she's got a really severe condition, and you're doing all that care for her. And I'm zeroing in on this because I just keep sensing that you've not understood how amazing it is what you're doing, and every time that suggestion comes up, you just kind of deflect it and say that yeah, well, it's what anyone would do, and that may be true, but the point is that not everybody is given that choice. Not everybody's faced with what you've been faced with, and you have and actually I disagree with you. Not everybody would do what you've done. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and the amount of care you're giving to your parents, to your mom and your grandparents. And I just want to make sure that you are taking time for yourself, and that you see what you have done, and that you take time to love yourself for that.
I truly appreciate that, Julian. Thank you.
Is there anything else?
I mean, aside from what we're talking about, like, I mean, because what we've talked about, I don't know, I needed someone else to tell me that I was doing good, but...
You're doing better than good. You're a soldier. I stand with the chat.
Well, thank you, Julian, thank you, chat, and I don't know, this has been cathartic in a way. I don't get to talk to a lot of people about this.
I'm so glad you called
Like
in
I
the
said,
chat.
I don't go out much. I live in basically my house taking care of my family. But
Right. You've been through so much. I hope you take time to take care of yourself, and I hope you call back if you ever need to talk again.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night. Whew. Wow, some amazing stories tonight. Some amazing, amazing stories tonight. There's some amazing people out there. This is so encouraging. Okay, guys, we're going to take a few more calls. It's almost 1 o'clock. I'm feeling good. Here we go. Turning the calls back on. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hi, Julian. I was hoping you could give me some advice for a friend of mine. I recently noticed he's been having a large decline of mental health, and I'm really, as a person who recently got diagnosed with bipolar, and like how much it would have helped me to know before, I've been struggling to broach the topic with him to try and encourage him. I don't want to sit here and diagnose him or anything, but I do wonder how to say, like, hey, I really think you should look into this, right?
Okay.
And he struggles a lot with anxiety, and so I don't want to be like, we need to talk and have a sit down sort of tense conversation with friends, but it is getting to the point where he's affecting his friendships and things. And so I didn't know, do you have any tips for trying to talk to somebody about their mental health, or is that something you just have to wait for them to bring up?
Yeah, it's a fascinating problem. I do know that, so I'm not a communication expert, but I'm happy to take a stab at the question. My personal philosophy on difficult conversations is to lead with some positivity. So if you've got something you need to talk with someone about, and it's going to be difficult and you've not shared a ton about what this conversation will entail, but I would just suggest maybe starting with some positivity, so that there's no room for question during the conversation about what your intentions are, so that it's clear your intentions are good and that you're not just trying to beat that person up.
Right. Okay. I guess my concern, so his situation tends to lead a bit in the narcissistic direction. And so I don't think he understands where sort of his struggles are lying. And in the past, when I've brought up, hey, have you thought about talking to somebody about this? He seems to feel like it's everybody else that's the issue, not him. And it's kind of a hard shell to crack. I think, hey, if I get a bunch of friends who would be able to confirm, but then that's ganging up, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I starting with some positivity would probably be good. Have you ever had to have a conversation like that with somebody?
Oh yeah, many difficult conversations. I would suggest writing it out in a letter first. That's always helped me for my most difficult conversations I've had to have. I've written out what I want to say in a letter first, and I don't send that letter anywhere. It just stays on in my possession. But I write it out first so that I know essentially what I want to say, and I spend a lot of time writing that, so that I know I've said everything I need to say. And then I'll not memorize it, but I'll kind of just, I'll memorize the general sense of what it is I want to say, and then I'll go, freewheel with that person. And if it's somebody that you love and trust, and somebody that loves and trusts you, it should be pretty easy, unless you're dealing with a sociopath. Is this person potentially a sociopath? You said that they deflect responsibility for errors and problems.
I don't think they're a sociopath. If anything, and this is not to say that this is I'm not a doctor, but it lines up closer like a borderline personality situation, where
You think they're borderline, BPD?
Kind of. I'm not a doctor, so
right.
But just what I've noticed with him, there are some similarities with the patterns I noticed in myself with bipolar. And I had the benefit of being in a relationship at the time, and somebody told me hey, you're not acting like yourself. And I don't want to let this go by like a really important person to me without being able to give that kind of feedback, right?
Right.
But I'm also afraid because we have had some rocky times in the past, and if I come up and say hey, I'm worried about you, or whatever I wind up putting in the letter,
Right.
That they would be quicker to be like, what do you know? Especially sort of with the narcissistic thing. And it's hard because I see them like struggling with it, like in legitimate distress. So essentially, they get what I've noticed is like delusions of grandeur. They decide they want to do something, and then immediately they're borrowing trouble for what it's going to be like if they get famous for this, and having anxiety attacks, and then that trickles into the friendships and everything.
Right.
And so it makes me nervous that like if they're fully committed to believing that they're going to be the best at this thing, contradicting that idea by saying like, maybe this isn't. Maybe this is something that you need to figure out or talk to somebody about.
Alex McNinch in the chat just had a helpful idea.
Sure.
I can't tell I can't see pictures on this chat. The icons are too small, so I don't know, Alex, how you identify. Right. But it says, you could open the conversation by openly talking about your struggles, if that is something you're open to, and maybe see if your friend feels the same way, but just ending it that you care.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of in line with, starting with some positivity, but like, yeah, if you take that first step of vulnerability, that could be a great way to start a conversation like that. And maybe that person feels safer knowing that you see your own problems too, and that you're willing to talk about them.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you, Alex, for that.
That's much simpler.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Cool.
Are you doing all right? Is this affecting your daily life, or are you getting through it?
I'm doing all right. I'm on the tail end of my whole struggle. It's been a hell of a couple of years.
Right.
But that's why I feel like I have some help to offer in this situation. So, I'm mostly on the other side of what I've been through.
Great. Well, thank you for calling in and sharing. I hope this was helpful, and feel free to call back anytime.
Thank you so much, Julian.
Take care. All right, we got 10 minutes left. Let's see what's gonna happen. Turning the calls back on. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey, Julian.
Hi.
Hey, so I have something I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
So, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, here, let me flip you off of speaker really quick. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I've been a songwriter for years and years now. Been trying to produce my own stuff, and I just get so scared of showing anybody my material or anything. It's like crippling anxiety whenever I try to show anybody anything. Like, I want people to hear it, but then, like, all the time I spend and doing it, it's like the scariest thing ever, basically.
Right. Yeah, making stuff publicly is scary. Maybe people don't like it. Are you writing songs professionally?
Well, I'm trying to.
I see. Yeah, that's a hard journey to begin. You just got to put yourself out there. You got to not be afraid to try. You got to be afraid of not fail. Can't be afraid to fail.
Right. It's just, it's hard when, you try to put as much of yourself as possible in there, right? But then, and it's like, part of me doesn't want to show people, but then the other part is like, but I want to see if somebody connects with this,
Right. Right.
And, I thought maybe you'd be the person to talk to about this, because I know you have a past with, like, your band and stuff like that, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm not here to give people career advice, but I can relate with what you're talking about that's a really scary thing, putting yourself out there in that way. And I hope this is helpful for other people to listen to as well.
Right.
That is a real thing, and it can be scary, but there's a reason that people's favorite songs and the most famous songs and pieces of art become famous to begin with, and that's why we call people who are doing that successfully celebrities. It's like a celebratory kind of thing. You're celebrating that someone put themselves out there in a positive way that had a positive impact. And so yeah, it is hard. It's worth celebrating, but you got to just put yourself out there. But I can't give you career advice. Was that helpful?
Yeah, for sure. It's so hard, trying to find the first step because like sometimes I just feel like I'm running out of time. I'm 26 now. I know that's not like way old, but like it's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to make the jump. Like I'm gonna release a song like next month. Like I set a point, like a goal, right? And it's just I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like maybe I'm running out of time. It's scary.
You are running out of time.
Uh-oh.
Everyone's running out of time. That clock is always ticking, isn't it?
It definitely is.
Yeah. Well, I wish you luck. I think I wish you luck in putting yourself out there.
Hey, well, thank you so much. And I know that you don't want to make this about you, but I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate what you're doing, and you really inspired me to be creative. So thank you.
Thank you for that. That's very sweet. Take care of yourself. All right, I think we got time for one more caller. Let's see what's going to happen. Man, this has been so amazing. So many good calls tonight. All right, I'm going to turn the calls back on. Hello, thanks for calling. Toast. Hello, thanks for calling. Toast. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hey.
Hi, what do you want to talk about?
I didn't think that I was gonna get through. But I have been feeling really lonely. And I've struggled a lot with developing friendships, and I feel like a lot of people in general are looking for romantic relationships or for people to be more, and it's hard to even just find people to do anything with, to go see a movie or to talk about art with or anything like that. And I've tried a lot of different methods and stuff, but it's also some of the difficulty of finding your crowd and stuff like that, because I could go to a bar or to a club or something like that that's around, but it doesn't feel like I don't know, it doesn't feel like a good environment or a satisfying environment. A lot of it's just the crippling loneliness and feeling like I don't have anybody to talk to, or I feel like I'm kind of going crazy with just the art I'm surrounded by.
Crippling loneliness.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends?
I do. I work a lot and they work a lot as well. And that with social batteries and whatnot, it can be difficult to link up. There's several friends of mine around the city that I haven't linked up with in probably over a month or two, just because of all of that. And yeah.
Yeah, this is a really
I don't know.
difficult time for people. A lot of people are going through this loneliness thing. We've had a bunch of callers call in about that, and it's a large reason why I started this project is because I sensed that these kinds of things were problems, that people don't have places to talk like this. And I'm so glad you called in to share. I hope this is helpful for people to hear about. And I wonder who you do have to, like, are you supported by family? Do you have people that know what you're going through and that you're feeling this way?
Yeah, I talk with my mom pretty regularly, but it's also and I've expressed this with her as well. It can be difficult to talk with her because a lot of the time she's just asking questions about progress and whatnot, and or like how I am and stuff, and I feel like it's really kind of always the same, that I'm working a lot, I'm busy, and I feel like I'm not moving forward. I'm not making the kinds of meaningful progress that I want to be making.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I know I see people who are far more squandering their talent and their time, and that does make me feel a bit better about the progress that I have made. But it's still difficult to feel like I'm actually moving anywhere, or like I have a meaningful future.
Right. What's a simple step you can take tomorrow to make a new friend or to deepen a relationship? What's immediately at your
I don't
disposal?
know. I've been I mean, as far as deepening a relationship, talking to people, reaching out about some of this. It's hard because I don't want to burden people with my issues as well, especially when they're going through shit. Like I have a friend who I'm pretty close with. We talk about a lot of stuff that she's been going through and whatnot, and we've talked about some of my stuff in the past, but she's really kind of been going through it lately, and hasn't been available, and I don't want to further burden her with my stuff, especially when she's dealing with some heavier concepts.
Right. Well, a good friend wants to be there for you.
Yeah, this is true, and I know she wants to be as well. I also know that it can be stressful for her. It can be overwhelming for her.
Right.
So and I don't know, like I've talked to my mom a bit about some of this, but it I don't get I don't know, I don't get relief. I don't have I don't get like a community feeling from our interactions,
Right.
It feels like I'm chatting with my mom. I'm curious how you've dealt with loneliness and with isolation.
I don't know if you want to hear that story. It's not a happy one. But I've been through a lot of isolation in my life.
I definitely would love to.
I just tend to pummel through things that are uncomfortable. So if you're asking me, I'm probably just going to give you some really blunt advice, which is just to do it, which is not helpful,
Yeah.
but that's why I'm not a therapist. I just,
No, I feel it.
But I'm a real, just roll up your sleeves and do it, whatever it is kind of thing. And I believe that that has helped me, that I am that way in life. I can't help it. That's just how I am. I recognize not everybody has that drive. And so again,
it's easier. It's easier for me when I have a vision, when I have a clear path, but it's not. It's just so muddy about how to create a community or to find meaningful relationships or to not burden the people around you.
Right.
Yeah. So I have really just been unloading into projects and stuff, writing a lot and working on some script stuff, and that has been prosperous to varying degrees, which does feel good and does help, but yeah, at the same time, I don't know. It really is like cementing a kind of nihilism within me, and so I've really
That's
kind
not
of been
good.
trying to read some more philosophy and stuff, and just try to get out of my head.
Have you read about Stoicism?
About it all. A little bit, yes. I've actually been reading these Paul Strathern Audible 90-minute things. They've gone over a couple different philosophers. Really recommend that. But I actually first got into a bit of Stoicism when I was initially checking out Fight Club.
Okay.
It's a pretty philosophical novel.
Right. It's a great novel. Yeah, I just mentioned the Stoicism thing because you said you were on the verge of nihilism, and a lot of people who fall into that tend to be really drawn to Stoicism in a way that produces positive results. So that's why I mentioned that. But
I appreciate that. Are there any specific recommendations you have?
No, because I'm not proficient enough in
good.
that subject. But I'm not. I don't know what philosophy I subscribe to, but I do like a lot of Stoicism lectures and things I've heard. I wish I could give you some references offhand, but in general, listening to lectures and things on Stoicism and the Stoic philosophers helped me through some really difficult times. I'm wondering if there was a falling out with your friends. Was there something that happened that caused this loneliness, or was it just kind of like the pandemic, or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I've had, over the course of the pandemic, I've had several friends leave the city, and people get busy to varying degrees, myself included. And like I said, one of my closer friends who I have hung out with, she's really kind of been going through it lately. So just really been, it's kind of been a progressive thing that's been building, but I've really been feeling it for the last couple months. And I routinely struggle with depression and anxiety, but I feel like everybody does to a degree or another. That's really kind of just what it's been coming back to for me personally. And I feel like it's also been feeling some of the less healthy means of coping, such as social media and drinking, and I don't know, just like escapism through media and stuff like that, which is also part of why I've just kind of been trying to turn back to working more, but it doesn't feel like a meaningful substitute for community.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a really difficult time, and I know a lot of people are lonely. A lot of people are getting isolated from friends over politics and religion right now. It's another reason why I'm starting this project.
Very polarizing time.
Yeah, it's not good. And I am so glad that people like you are calling in and just sharing, because I believe it's helpful for people to hear. I think it helps people feel like they're not so alone when they hear other people are going through similar things that they're going through. And so it's helpful for people to hear these things, and I appreciate you so much sharing. Is there something that I can listen about that would be helpful specifically? What would make this a helpful call for you?
This already has been quite helpful, and yeah, I love what you're doing. I'll be tuning in for future stuff. I've loved what you've been putting out for years. Your tunes occasionally get stuck in my head from time to time, particularly the shower song and the jellyfish song. Yeah, and it's fantastic to see you back doing this and being there for your fans in such a genuine and meaningful way. Really, really love that you're doing this, and I feel has only further galvanized you as a legendary figure. Really appreciate it.
That's very sweet to hear. Thanks so much. And I hope you revisit the chat after we're off the phone here, because there's some really nice messages to you in here. Take care of yourself.
For sure.
Wow, so many beautiful people calling in tonight. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, making the chat useful. You guys are awesome. If you've called in and you haven't been able to get through, just keep trying. I'm not going to be stopping this, so I hope that this is something you guys look forward to coming back to every night. I want to take a few minutes here with the chat because there were a couple things I wanted to get thoughts on, mainly the time of this. How's this 10 Central to 1 a.m. Central thing working out? I was thinking about maybe doing it 9 Central to midnight next time because I've noticed that towards the end of the stream, people are leaving to go to bed and stuff, and I wonder if it would be better use of everybody's time if we did it like 1 hour earlier. Maybe that would help more people get through. I'm going to take a second and see how yay for 9 or nay for 9 Central. I realize there's people watching internationally who it doesn't make much of a difference for. That's right, EST is struggling here. I see that comment. Okay, lots of yays for 9 p.m. Maybe I will try that. Maybe we'll try 9. 9. Very clever 9. Very clever. And I saw somebody ask what CD I'm using as a coaster here. It's actually not a CD. It's a DVD of one of my favorite movies, There Will Be Blood by P.T. Anderson. If you have not seen this movie, you have got to check it out. I have the Blu-ray too, and I own the 4K on my TV, so I decided to use this as a coaster because it's one of my all-time favorites. I have seen it so many times. What an incredible piece of art that movie is. P.T. Anderson is the man. It's about big oil. It's about a really crazy oil business guy. Daniel Day-Lewis is the star. Amazing movie. Okay, so what a great night. Okay, but is your cup a candle? No, this is not a candle. This is a Japanese clay. It's made of Japanese clay. Came from Japan, and it's got really good minerals in it. And when you drink stuff in it, especially hot stuff, it's really good for you. Guys, thank you so much. What a beautiful night. This is just so amazing. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this turns into. I will see you guys on Thursday. And I am really conflicted about this whole 9 p.m., starting at 9 p.m. versus starting at 10 p.m. thing. So I'm going to be thinking about that. Because on one hand, I started it late intentionally because I wanted to weed out a bunch of people who were just bored and try to weed out some trolls. That's why I started it so late at night. But I'm going to be thinking about starting it an hour earlier because I know that Yeah, a lot of people are saying 9 p.m. would be better. All right, guys. Thanks so much for an awesome stream. Thanks for keeping the chat useful. And I'm already looking forward to Thursday. I'll see you guys then. Toast.